Mike Gundy enters his 19th season as head coach at OSU. He's one of the longest tenured coaches in all of college football.
Well, his Pokes open with Central Arkansas Saturday at 6, hoping once again to exceed expectations.
They seem to always do that, and surprisingly enough, as have the fans. First time in 10 years that Oklahoma State has sold out its full allotment of season tickets, just under 50,000. Coach Gundy was fired up when I sat and had my one-on-one. That's exactly where we started. What was it about this upcoming year that you think the fans said, we got to be a part of that?
You know, it's interesting. The fans see the conference realignment, they see all the issues going on, and I think they wanted to show the country football is important at Oklahoma State. And I think they want to see the 4 new teams. I think they're interested in watching them. Now, obviously, we don't play them all at home, but I think they want to see those teams. And then we have the Bedlam game at home. They're going to want to be here for that game.
No question. I noticed when I came in, there's cranes going on. Looks like you guys got some awesome things going. Tell me about the facility upgrades.
Well, they're just about finished with the north side. They went in and cleaned it all up, structure-wise. The aesthetic part of it, they painted and matched and then put new seating in. And so once we complete next year, for the first time ever, it'll be really beautiful and the aesthetic value will be awesome. It's going to be perfect. The seating's just under 60,000, which is what we need.
What have you guys done both from a practice standpoint and even from a schematic standpoint to help ensure that you guys are running the football more effectively this season?
Well, the first thing I did was went in January with the offensive staff and, told them, I said, look, I'm in this boat also. We run up big numbers for 10 years and it's not working anymore based on the way defenses have changed. And so we have to rush the football. And the reason we couldn't run the football last year, the main reason, was because we didn't put time and effort into it. We get better at what we work on. And then we can create some advantages for 3rd and 4th and short, and then create some play-pass advantages, which I think will help our offense. So that was the pattern and the path that we took, and we're better now than we were last year already. Now, how good that's going to be, I don't know, but we need to average 4.5 yards a carry rushing the ball. If we can do that, we'll have success on offense.
Quarterback, I got to ask about it. And when you work through a quarterback battle, what are you looking for?
The new clock rule is going to take away a couple possessions per side each game. So when you talk about offensive football, you got to reduce negative yardage plays, you got to take care of the football, and you have to be able to rush the football if you get a lead in the 4th quarter. The new clock rule is going to take away a couple possessions per side each game.
You've made your choice as far as who the quarterback calling the defense is in Brian Nardo. What have you seen compare to him in the springtime to where he is now implementing his defense?
I'm very pleased. Everybody has to be patient, not because he came from Gannon, but because it's a new system. We're implementing the odd front with our even front, okay? Defenses have gotten smart. They've taken a lineman out of the game and putting him standing back in the middle of the field so they don't give up big plays. So because it's 3, we call it an odd front. Normally you're playing 4 down linemen, we call it an even front. So we're learning the odd front and we're still running the even front. The challenge for Brian and the defensive staff is we need to be really good at something. Don't do so much we're not good at anything.
Give me a couple of things that if you guys do this well, it's going to be a good year for Oklahoma State football.
So we have to stay healthy at a few key spots. I feel better now than I have in 3 years in the offensive line because we have 3 guards, 3 tackles, and 3 centers that if something happened could go in and play and be successful. Whatever we do at quarterback, make a difference what level it is, okay? Your kid's level, junior high, high school, or college or the pros, you have to get good quarterback play in order to win games. And then defensively, I've asked Brian and the staff to make sure that we don't get too far out of our box to where we're not good at anything because there is some new concepts. Let's just be sound and let guys run and hit. If we can do those things, and then the last thing is what we started this conversation with, we gotta rush the football. We're better than what people think we are.
I can't wait to see, Coach. As always, thanks so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. Great stuff from Coach Gundy, and he is passionate, fellas, about running the football. That's been the mantra going back to spring all the way here into fall camp. They didn't run it well last year, and he is committed to changing that this year. They want 4.5 yards a carry. They were under 3.5 yards a carry a season ago. Committed. The offensive line has been healthy. They've been strong. If that continues, good things on the horizon. Guys, I think it's going to be more of a running back by committee. Ollie Gordon, Jaden Nixon's had a great camp, as has Elijah Collins, the Michigan State transfer. We'll get into the quarterback situation in a little bit, but I think this offense, this season, is all about how does Oklahoma State run the football better this season.
Well, it's got to start with the offensive line for sure. And you mentioned that. The end of last season, so many injuries that they were kind of only had about 5 or 6 guys that they really could count on that side. Now they have at least twice that many that they feel comfortable putting in. And as far as the quarterbacks go, Dean, I'll just say this. Alan Bowman's shown great leadership. He's got all that experience. And you also have Garrett Rangel, who struck me as being a very comfortable, confident guy who says he's better at his progressions in year 2.
I like the way he's looking, John. And if I'm Mike Gundy, I will have rededicated myself to creating ways to bounce back. Losing the 5 of 6 at the end of the year and losing way too many good players to transfers is unacceptable if I'm Mike Gundy and I'm thinking about it. And I see a schedule that is juicy for a turnaround. I sell this season to my players as one of disrespect. They don't respect this out there, and sell the crazy fact that Vegas has the win total, the over-under for OSU at 6 games. Can you believe that? They're saying after 3 wins in the non-conference, you're only winning 3 of the next 9. I do not believe that.
Back in Norman, Jeff Levy returns for his second season as OU's offensive coordinator. Jeff played there and fully understands the expectations at Oklahoma.
Jeff is widely regarded with the friends that I've talked to as just an absolutely terrific guy who flirted with Nick Saban when Alabama was looking for a new assistant coach. When we went one-on-one, he was optimistic about this 23 offense. There's an urgency to win. Always is around this place, you know it. Yeah. But after last year, losing 7, the schedule that's, let's call it manageable, and SEC next year, there's real urgency. What do you think?
Well, there's no doubt. I think there's no more urgency outside the building than there is inside. Yeah. The expectation for us, obviously, Coach V and the staff, man, we've got a bunch of guys that are incredibly hungry to go get it done. And Coach V talks about it nonstop, hungry and humble.
Looking back at last year on a 1 to 10 scale, how good were you offensively?
Yeah, well, we weren't good enough, and so from a scale
6,
standpoint,
7,
5,
8,
we weren't good enough, and in the games that we were on the wrong side of, had we made a few more plays, had we been a little better on 3rd down, had we been better on 4th down, had we not turned it over, we win those games.
You lose some guys to the NFL, even though you didn't have what you wanted, so you lose guys.
Yeah.
Great back, bunch of receivers. So now you got an offensive line, you're having to replace people. How are you going to be better?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is being year 2 in the system, being year 2 in the program, and understanding the expectation of what the day-to-day is. Again, having competitive depth all throughout the unit. I think where we're at today compared to a year ago today is 2 completely different places.
Quarterback Dylan Gabriel, what's realistic in terms of expecting him to be a lot better in? Because some people say balls over the middle, that's a hard throw, and you're either going to be accurate or you're not. Where do you see him being better?
Yeah, I think in the situational part of it, and then being able to throw it down the field. The chunk plays, throwing it down the field, being able to pitch and catch will hopefully be a huge upswing for us.
So he's better at what? Throwing it down? You're talking about more vertical?
Yeah,
or what?
the vertical throw game, and then the situational ball, being able to be better on 3rd and 4th down, like we've talked about. So from an accuracy standpoint, and continuing to get reps and get work with all these receivers, where we're at again today in comparison is night and day.
Do you foresee Jackson Arnold having a package of his own and him playing regularly in games?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I think that'll be able to clear itself up as we move forward. As we've talked about, obviously Dylan is 100% our guy that's created a ton of trust in the locker room, and a guy that I think is going to go play at a really high level.
Jeff, how are you going to be better on 4th down? Because last year it didn't seem cohesive, and even though you had NFL linemen and you got Eric back there, the numbers, as you said, weren't good.
Absolutely, putting them in better situations, from a play call standpoint, whether that's me running the football more at times, or at the same time being better on third down to get us in a 4th and 1 or 2. Thanks,
Thank you,
Dean.
Coach. Jeff comes from an impressive coaching tree. The guys he's worked with, Baylor's Art Briles, gosh, was he good offensively. Bob Stoops and multiple coordinators, 1 year as OC for Josh Heupel down at UCF, 2 seasons for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. So Jeff's been a D1 offensive coordinator for just 3 seasons, and that's just one of the reasons he should utilize what I think are exceptional offensive analysts that are down there. Seth Luttrell is one of them. Matt Wells is the other, both former head coaches, and they are guys who can really help. And I think they can use it if they communicate. Like on 3rd and 4th downs, they were subpar. Also, so subpar in clock management. When to play fast, when to slow it down. Lebby should improve in his 4th year as offensive coordinator and 2nd year with Brent Venables and with a lot of those players. The bottom line, though, is that Lebby and Venables need to have learned from the mistakes from last year and go with what works. I do foresee some challenges at tight end and wide receiver. They've got to have guys come on and develop. And for quarterbacks, I expect both to contribute. Gabriel starts, but Jackson Arnold is too good to just sit and watch.
He's going to get to play. I think the plan is to get him in early, get him comfortable, get him reps in case they need to go to him due to injury or whatever it may be. I think this offensive line's got a chance to be really good. Tyler Guyton's had a great camp. He looks excellent. Walter Rouse, the Stanford transfer, and Bill Beanbo just puts out excellent offensive lines. DeMarco Murray loves his running back room. Marcus Major is going to factor in. Javonte Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk, as you've talked a lot, he's going to be a big-time player. Receiver, tight end, guys have to emerge. I saw Jaquez Petaway a couple of weeks ago, and boy, the true freshman looks really good. Andrell Anthony, Gavin Freeman, they're going to have some names that guys are really going to have to step up and emerge to make this a more well-rounded offense.
Still ahead, lots of moving pieces this year and next for the Big 12 as the Sooners prepare to head to the SEC. We're talking with some of the greats from both schools about what's expected to be the final Bedlam game.